Thanks for checking out this game review video. Yes, I'm going to start doing some game reviews here and there. And for this first one, it is Mixtape Massacre. This is a board game that I think is a lot of fun. And I'll show you that again in a little bit if you didn't get a good enough look at it. But I just want to give you the intro information. So it's by Bright Light Games, and the way I came across this actual game is I was at a horror convention and they happened to have a stand there, and I was like, I like board games, I like card games. There are cards involved with this, but it's not really card aspect. It's mainly just board. So I just decided to pick it up, and I was like, let's give it a shot. And this is just the base game itself. They do have expansions. They do have booster packs to add a bunch of cards and add some characters and things like that. They also have a whole reverse edition of this game where it's playing from the other side. So what is Mixtape Massacre itself? So the game is basically a situation where you choose a character who is a villain. You know, it's a creature, it's a killer, and you go around trying to kill people who are trying to survive. Now, it's a board that's kind of like a town, so it has a bunch of buildings, and you're competing with other killers to get as many kills as possible. It's a points race to 60 points, and each time you make a kill, you get a random body part as a souvenir. Now, each souvenir has a different value. So there's something like a tooth has like a 1 point value, but something like, I believe it's a heart, has a 10-point value. So it kind of ranges like that. And there are things like, you know, there's a foot, there's fingers, there's a skull, you know, things like that. It's pretty fun, it's pretty cool. So basically you're competing against others to get as many souvenirs as you can and get to that 60 points while you're doing it. Now, each time you step into a building, you have to pull a card which will tell you who you encounter in that building. Now, it could be a survivor who you need to make a roll against to try to figure out if you kill them or not. Or it could be one of the more rare cards in there where it's someone who's fighting back. And in that case, you actually need to see if you get away. So if you end up not being able to win, if you're attacking the person, then you end up going back to a starting position. You have to go, you know, spend time, you know, getting all those spaces back to get in there. So yeah, it's pretty fun, and it's up to how many players? It says 2 to 6 players. Now, the majority of the time I've played this game with just my wife, and to be perfectly honest, she beats me most of the time. For some reason, she's not big into horror, but for some reason, she's really good at this game. I think I've beaten her once, and we played maybe about 10 or so times. We did have the opportunity recently to play with 2 additional people, and I will say that 4 people is way more fun than 2, but 2 people is still a lot of fun. It's just, you know, the game will take longer when you're adding more people to it. So, the dice in this are fun as well. You have your regular red die that is just rolling to move spaces, and then you have your 3 black die, which have different symbols on it, and you can look up in the instructions. If you roll triples of each one, it means something different. But basically, you're mainly trying to roll knives on the black dice, and it'll correspond to however many knives are on the card that you flipped over to kill that person. So if they have like 1 knife, you only need to roll 1 in order to kill them. If they have 2 knives, you need to roll 2 to kill them. And then once you do kill them, that's when you get that souvenir, where you're trying to build up those points. Now, the other thing is, if you run into another killer, if you guys are on the same space or in the same building, you brawl. And in that case, you just do a roll off with the black dice to see who ends up being able to stay there and who gets knocked back to a starting position and also loses a little piece of health. So there are 6 pegs that go into this knife that are your life, your health. And every time you lose a fight, if you're being attacked, so if it's a brawl or if it's a survivor fighting back, if you lose it, you lose one of those health. And once you get down to 0, you die. Now, there is one character in the base game that has a special ability where they can come back to life with, I think it's half health. And there are some other abilities where characters can end up healing themselves. And there's also a spot on the map where you can go to heal yourself up. So that's nice. There's also a spot on the map, or a few spots on the map, that are like sewers, and you can use those to kind of get to other areas of the map faster. So there's a lot of aspects. Oh, and there are also the bonus track spots where you can land on them and pick up a card that's called a bonus track, and that bonus track has additional things. Either it'll give you something or it'll have something happen. It's just random stuff. Now, this is all very much, as you might be able to tell based off how the name of it looks, it's very 80s. And because it's very 80s, a lot of the cards and the characters reference 80s things. And it's not always 80s horror things. Sometimes it's just 80s pop culture things. So if you're a product of the 80s and you love the 80s, you will love this game even more. Not just because it's a fun game to play and you can have some friendly competition, but because the references will make you laugh from time to time, because they did for me. Now, I think I hit pretty much everything I need to. Oh yeah, the abilities. Every single character has an ability. So usually when you're picking a character, I will pick based off of what the character looks like and who I feel like playing. But if you're being more strategic, if you really want to win, you might want to base it off of what their ability is. And you can only use that ability once per game. So you would choose wisely when it needs to be used. But this game is a lot of fun. Like I said, there are expansion packs for it. There are booster packs for it. And then there's what I was saying is a reverse edition of it, where you are playing survivors trying to survive against killers. And then that also has expansions and booster packs. Now, the company Brightlight is also working on another game. I'll just show this to you again. They're also working on another game called Float. I don't really know anything about Float, but I would like to get it. And I probably would review it if I got it. But Float, I think the most I know about it at this point is it's like water-based horror is what it's supposed to be. What it seems like is it's kind of like you're stranded in the ocean and there are sharks, so try not to get eaten by the sharks. And it's a board game, so very interested to see how that is, because the game mechanics with Mixtape Massacre are so good, and it's not hard to pick up either. Like, the first time you play it, obviously you're going to have to read through the rules. You're going to need to keep the rule booklet at, on the table with you or within arm's reach, so that you can reference certain things when they happen in the game. So yeah, but it's not hard. Like, once you play it one time, you're probably going to remember how to play it. So it's not super complicated, but the mechanics have enough going on and there's enough intricacies that it's a fun time, and also it's replayable, like very replayable. It's a great time. So yeah, like I said, I will be interested to check out Float at some point. Also, the reverse edition of this, I'll probably need to get at some point. I do have one of the expansion packs. I didn't really include that in this because this is mainly just about like the base game. So if you are watching this review and you're saying, man, that sounds like a lot of fun and I'm into board games, you can check it out at mixtapemassacre.com. I'm not sure, actually, I'm not sure what the pricing is. I can look it up right now just to help people out. But it is, I think it was around like $50 or something like that. Mixtape Massacre, there it is. But it's well worth the money if you're willing to put enough time into it. If it's a game that you're only going to play like one time, it's probably not worth the money. But if you're into board games and you will play this game multiple times, especially if you're big into 80s nostalgia and you're big into horror, it's definitely worth the time. So let me check it out. Probably should have done this before I started this, but Okay, so, they actually have a bundle available right now where they have both versions of the game, the regular Mixtape Massacre, and then the one Escape from Tall Oaks, which is the one where you're a survivor. And that bundle is $84.98, which is pretty good, in my opinion. They also have a bundle that is Mixtape Massacre and their expansion pack, Black Mask, which is the expansion pack I have, for $64.98. Now, straight up, just this Mixtape Massacre game you can get for $39.99. That is a big deal, and this is on sale at the moment. All these things are on sale at the moment, so when this video is going up, I recorded this like a day before it's going up, so you can go to mixtapemassacre.com. I'll also put a link in the description, and you can check that out. Oh, also, I'm not affiliated with the makers of this game. They're not paying me. I don't know them. I talked to the people at the stand, and it's been some years, but I just really like this game and I wanted to talk about it. So I will get nothing out of this except satisfaction, pretty much. So also they have the Escape from Tall Oaks with that expansion pack for $74.98. They have just the Escape from Tall Oaks for $49.99. Those are not on sale. Then they have a Myth expansion for that one for $24.99, an Invasion expansion for $24.99, a Lockdown expansion for $24.99, the Black Mask expansion on its own is $24.99, and then they have a Revenge pack for $11.99, a new character pack for Mixtape Massacre, which is Bad Dad, which I have for $9.99, the Scarlet booster pack for $9.99, the Slayer booster pack, which is a Christmas theme for $9.99, and the Scare booster pack, which is also $9.99. Yeah, and then they have like some supplies. I assume that's for the Tall Oaks game. Some booster packs for that as well, but not familiar with that just because I'm not there. I guess the only thing I don't have for Mixtape Massacre is the Scare booster pack. So I need to make sure that I end up getting that at some point because I have the expansion and I have all the other boosters. But anyway, I've talked enough about this. Hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully people want to purchase this game because trust me, it's a lot of fun, especially if you're big into horror. So anyway, Mixtape Massacre, go ahead and check this game out and let me know in the comments. If it's a game that you already have and you really love it, go ahead and let me know. If you don't really love it, we can talk about it. What don't you like about it? What do you like about it? Why are you in the middle on it? Whatever your opinion is, totally good. We can talk. Also, recommendations for other games. Are there other board and card games that you think I might like or I should just give a shot because you really like them, especially if they're horror related? I mainly gravitate to the horror related ones, but I play a lot of other games as well. So also, do you want more videos like this of game reviews? And it could be even video games as well. I can look into that. I started playing Dead by Daylight, so, Anyway, thank you very much for checking this out. Do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. It's quick, it's painless, costs you no money, and I appreciate it a lot. That is your way to repay me if you like any video I've ever done. So thanks so much for taking your time to watch this, though. And until next time, keep it brutal.